So I'm going to be doing my presentation about the 547 Art Center in Greensburg, Kansas. So to preface this project, I'd like to explain why the building was needed to be made, which is there was an EF5 tornado that struck Kansas in 2007, and it wiped out 95% of the town's buildings and killed around 9 people. 15 years later, they rebuilt, and they are one of the largest rates of LEED certified buildings in the US per capita, which is no small feat. So the leaders of the rebuild for this specific building was Studio 804, which is a group of grad students at the University of Kansas's School of Architecture and Urban Planning, more specifically Professor Dan Rockhill's class, and they were invited to construct an art center in December of 2007. They had 4 months to create the building in order to have it ready for the 1-year anniversary of the tornado, and they were successful in that. So the Art Center is a community meeting hall and art gallery, and it was the first completed public facility in Greensburg since the tornado, which allowed it to become a hub for community growth and community in general. It's the first LEED certified platinum building in the state of Kansas, and it had a few complications leading up to building it. So the first one being there was such a short production time, but Studio 804 has a history of finishing buildings very quickly. In the 9 years prior, they built 9 single-family homes, and it only took them a year to build each one. Another issue was the fact that it was not funded by the government. They had to crowdsource their money to build this building themselves and managed to use products that would have gone to waste anyway in order to build the art center. And the biggest issue with the building is the sun. A huge part of sustainable architecture is the use of the sun to heat the building, to allow natural light inside, and the sun does not usually mix well with art. So the thing that Studio 804 did to counteract that issue while still being sustainable is they covered the glass that they used to protect the exterior and the windows of the building with UV film, which allowed light to come in, and the same with heat, while keeping UV rays out that would damage the paintings. Here's a poorly drawn explanation of it. So on the right, you can see the exterior wood paneling has glass on this outside of it with UV film, so it casts the UV rays back while allowing heat to strike the building, and in turn heat the building in the winter or if it's needed. And same thing on the left, you have a window with shutters on one side and tempered glass with the UV film on the other, so it allows light and heat to come into the building while keeping the UV rays out. That's just one of the energy efficient features of the building. One that's really huge is the fact that it's a south-facing building, so it gains a lot of the winter sun, so it heats it during the winter months, so you don't have to use as much electricity to keep it at a moderate temperature. Along with that, they used light colors for the interior. For the most part, it was white for the floors and walls, and that allowed light to penetrate further into the building and not need as much electricity for lighting. On the roof, there are drought-tolerant plants that keep absorbing heat so it doesn't get too hot in the summer, and the concrete floor, which is about 3 inches thick, absorbs heat during the winter to allow it to heat the building for the same reason as the south-facing building orientation. It allows winter heat to stay in at a moderate level, so you don't have to use electricity as much. Along with that, they have three different renewable energy features. Three of them, there were 3 wind turbines, 8 solar panels, and 3 geothermal wells. The geothermal wells help with regulating temperature in the building, and in general is just extremely helpful to keep from using a lot of electricity. They also have a 1,500-gallon cistern to collect rainwater, and the area surrounding the building is covered in native buffalo grass, which is pretty drought resistant, so it doesn't need as much water to appear healthy and thriving. And one of my favorite features of the building is the exterior wood. For the most part, is actually reclaimed wood from abandoned houses and also possibly torn down houses during the tornado. And some of the other wood is sustainably harvested in general. Here's a look at the floor plan. As you can see, where the art gallery is, there's windows along the south side to allow more light to hit the interior. And on the left side, you can say the same thing. There's heating from the wood paneling all around. And the entrance is very open, so it can allow light in as well. And that's the conclusion to my presentation. Here's links to all the websites where I got my information from, and yeah, that's all.